Welcome to our new Smoky Mountain Sports podcast. I'm Daniel Sparkman, along with my good buddy Brian Hamilton. Brian, how you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. I'm excited to get started with our new podcast, all about East Tennessee high school sports, and maybe throw in a little pro from time to time.
In college.
Oh yeah, college.
Well, we've waited a long time on this. We've had it kind of figured out that we were going to do this not a year ago, but it was sometime around Christmas. And so we had our first kind of trial run as a website last year. And now, starting to get a little bit of a following. And we decided the 2022 season, we really wanted to kick off with a podcast so that we could inform you all on what's going on in the area and preview some of the upcoming games for the week.
Yeah, I think this platform is going to allow us to do more for the folks in East Tennessee and the counties that we cover. Because now we're going to be able to do interviews with coaches. We're going to be able to show some highlights, some clips from some games that you go to and our correspondents are going to go to. So I think it's just a cool opportunity to be able to discuss some of the happenings around the area.
And it's kind of good that we kick this off on Monday the 15th because that is, all the jamborees are pretty much finished. Everybody's starting regular season this week, football as well as volleyball, girls soccer, which are two sports that we cover as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a busy fall for us. I think the spring was real busy because there's a lot of spring sports, but we're
Yeah.
excited to get into the fall season and especially to get into football.
Yeah, football's really big up here. As you know, it is in Alabama where I worked before I came here. Friday nights is what most people are doing. They're at either their alma mater or their kids' high school games, rooting on their favorite teams. So it's a great thing to be a part of. I've been on, um, whether it was a newspaper or now the website, Smoky Mountain Sports. I've not been on the sideline since 2013 was the last year that I haven't been doing that on Friday night. So um, I really, when I moved here, didn't know what else to do with myself. Otherwise. So we started this side up last August, and it's kind of started to roll now.
Well, we've had kind of a good summer. We've had some things happen, some coaching changes, some players that have transferred, a big name, and then we've got a new school on the horizon that we might even talk about. But how about some of those coaches changes?
Well, we've got the biggest one obviously is Alcoa. You've got Brian Nix coming in. He's been there since 2001. Been there actually longer than you know their last coach was there, and now he takes the reins after being in the program over 20 years.
Being with the program for so long and then being the head coach, it's exciting. It's a fun thing. There's a lot of responsibility with it, but I've been at Alcoa for a long time, and it means to me, I wanted to be a head coach. I wanted that challenge, but being the head coach at Alcoa means I don't have to leave there. Because you're always in the back of my mind was, if I'm going to be a head coach, how long is Gary going to stay? How long do I, as I'm getting older, do I need to look at maybe going to another program just to get that experience? So I'm so thankful that I get to stay here at Alcoa. That my first year head coach is at a program like this with the staff that we have. So I'm definitely blessed.
Alcoa has won 7 straight championships. And it doesn't seem that it's gonna stop anytime soon. Um, Gary Rankin, as I believe that's their coach, he's now at Boyd Buchanan, which is near the Chattanooga area, and I guess wanted another challenge. But now this guy who's waited his turn for 20 years, is taking the reins now of this program, and I don't think there's really going to be much of a drop off, and that's kind of what the consensus is with the people I've talked to here with Alcoa. Then you have a new coach at Heritage. You have a new coach coming in at William Blount as their coach is now at Eagleton, and they're starting up a program this year. They will not play varsity, but they will in 2023. But that's a new school coming up in Blount County. And while we're talking about coaching changes, Alcoa's coach moved there this year, and now they have a new coach. The girls' soccer team in it's Andy Bird, and he comes over from Heritage, who, last season they were 6-9-1 in soccer. Their assistant takes over the job, and now, he inherits a girls' soccer team that made it all the way to the final last year, and their best three players are juniors. And, while we're kind of talking about soccer a little bit, Charlotte Timon set the single season goal scoring record for Alcoa last year, and she's going to be back for not one but 2 more years. So Alcoa's and Bird really has a chance to come into a nice situation and hopefully have a chance to at least get a championship in the next 2 years.
Now, Brian, we've talked about the coaches, but there's also a couple of players we wanted to point out, some quarterbacks that are in the news this summer.
Well, Maryville has the biggest impact transfer really of the year, and that's Matthew Clemmer, who started last year for William Blount. They had a coaching change. He decided to come over from William Blount to Maryville, and he has won the starting job. And they play Heritage this week, so that'll be a really big kind of thing to keep an eye on to see how he performs with his new team. He played for a team last year that went 1-9, but he was, for the most part, the most skilled player on that team. And then, outside of the transfers, a big injury here to report is that William Smith, the quarterback for TKA, a junior, tore his ACL before the Jamboree, because this was in summer practice. And now they will be starting Avery Jordan at quarterback, who performed well in the Jamboree win against Gibbs on Thursday night at Central and threw a touchdown. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, having to replace one of their probably their best player on the offense.
And we were talking about Maryville getting a new quarterback. So right now, Maryville and Alcoa are two of the very best teams in East Tennessee right now, and they have something to do with the top 10 that you've laid out for the preseason.
Yeah, so really it's difficult to place these teams 1 and 2 at the top of my top 10 rankings, but really you can't go wrong either way. And, like I said earlier, I don't think there's going to be a big transition moving over from Gary Rankin to Brian Nix for Alcoa. And, Alcoa has Lance Williams manning the offensive line, and he is, 2-time state wrestling champ, never lost a match. He's a Virginia Tech commit. This guy, he's the anchor of their team. And then at quarterback, really, Zach Lunsford, he's not new. Most people think Caden Buckles, who was, he came in the playoffs. He was a transfer from Catholic in Knoxville, and he comes in the playoffs when they were struggling a little bit during the season with Lunsford and another kid that came in from California because they weren't playing football in the fall of 2020. So Caden Buckles takes the job in 2021, and then Lunsford kind of waits behind him as a junior, and now it's his time to shine. And this guy's got experience, got plenty of meaningful game experience, and you still have Jordan Harris in the backfield. You've got Elijah Cannon, and then Eli Graff is a sophomore, that's going to play a key role in the secondary. You never can expect that Alcoa's defense is not going to be top notch. So I've got the Tornadoes at number one. I know they haven't beat Maryville since 18. They've got to go to Maryville and play this year, but I think that Alcoa has a really good chance to get an upset in that game if it would be an upset. I don't think the winner of that game ever is an upset. If you had a spread, it would be a pick 'em. 1 point. I mean, it's just or, or maybe the home team. Maybe if there was a spread, Alcoa was number one, Maryville's number two, but maybe Maryville gets like the 1 point, 2 point advantage just because they're at home. But it's that's one of the I've not covered a better rivalry. I'll say that. And it's almost a foregone conclusion that Alcoa is going to win the state championship in 3A. But Coach Nix wouldn't want you to talk that way.
All right, so your number one's Alcoa. I mean, it's good, definitely understandable because their seniors have only lost 3 games since they've been on the team, and every single one of them has been to Maryville. In fact, out of the last 5 years, Alcoa has the only team that has beat them in the state of Tennessee has been Maryville, and every year except 2018, dating back to 2017, because in 2018, of course, they went undefeated and won the championship. So Maryville, where do they fall on the top 10?
Oh, Maryville's right behind at second, and it's really I could have done the tie for number one.
Yeah, a coin
That
toss.
wouldn't be controversial enough, right?
Right.
So Maryville, the only question really there, obviously they're not bringing in a new coach, but Derek Hunt's been there quite a few years now, and he's just continued the stability that program's had. And the question mark, I don't know how much of a question mark it is because I watched this kid play at William Blount, outstanding quarterback, great athlete. He's a heck of a basketball player. Clemmer comes in, and he's going to be the starting quarterback for Alcoa. Just got there this summer, so he's just been through the fall reps. We've got to see how he progresses, Matthew Clemmer, and what it looks like in that offense. I know they tied um, they tied Greenback, which is a team right on the Lenore County side of Blount County, and they are 1A. So I was at the Sevier Jamboree, so I heard about that. I said, well, that's interesting, but obviously Jamborees don't mean a lot. But that was kind of an eye-popping score there to see that they tied Greenback. But really, you're trying to not show much, especially when Alcoa is there at the Jamboree. You might be saving a lot for that game, or at least you're not wanting to let much out of the bag before Powell at week 2. Powell's the team that won the 5A state championship, and that's Maryville's second game. They've got one tune-up game against Heritage, where I plan to go for a little bit on Thursday night. That's one of our kickoff games that we have, first games of the year on Thursday night, where they beat Heritage 49-0 last year. So Heritage dealing with a coaching change and everything. I don't know if there'll be a lot of difference this year. They should improve from 0-10, but it'll be a game where they'll probably have a chance to kind of ease Matthew Clemmer in and get him some meaningful snaps before taking that trip to Powell. 2 other guys that'll help to take some of that pressure off Clemmer, getting acquainted with learning the offense and getting kind of worked in a little bit, being his first year at Maryville, is running back Noah Vaughn, who was All-State last year. He's committed to the University of Virginia, and also a younger guy, junior, uh, Gage Ledoux, who was kind of the change of pace back a year ago. They'll have both of those guys there in the backfield, and it should be trouble for defenses.
Yeah, back till 2018 on Alcoa's championship run that they had. the last time that Maryville lost to Alcoa. But one other thing that Maryville's kind of had a pattern these last 5 years is losing to Oakland in the semis, and we actually talked to Coach Hunt about that.
Maryville definitely has high expectations, and that's always been the case. For as long as I've been around, the standard's really high, and you never want to lower the bar. You want to keep it where it's at. So, but our kids expect that. Our kids understand that. They don't shy away from that, and so they understand though. While Oakland has been who we've met in the semifinals, I don't know, 7 years in a row or whatever. They understand that if that's all you're focused on, you're going to get beat in the regular season. We play too many good teams in the regular season to focus on what a maybe semifinal game. So we can't worry about that. We can't win every game unless we're 1-0. Heritage is our first opponent, and that's honestly honest to goodness, where our attention is right now. We got to find our best 11 for that Heritage game. That's kind of where our focus is. So we've not yet started thinking about Alcoa and Oakland and all that stuff, but. Obviously, I think that if this team does what they're capable of, we'll have a chance to make a deep playoff run, and so hopefully we'll have a chance to be our focus.
So we've got Alcoa at number 1 and Maryville at number 2. Who are the 3 that round out the top 5 in our preseason top 10?
Rounding out the top 5, I went with Jefferson County at number 3, and then Carter at number 4 after seeing them play in the Jamboree game on Thursday night. They played almost mistake-free football, beating 5A Knox Central 14-0 in their one quarter of play. And then Sevier County rounds out the top 5. I was maybe not quite as high on them, at least offensively, until I saw them play 2 quarters, in the Jamboree on Friday night, and they really looked good as well. Thing for Sevier County is they play the other 2 teams in the top 5 in weeks 1 and week 2. So getting back to Jefferson County, they were 0-10 just 2 years ago in 2020, but they made great strides last year, made the playoffs, and they didn't get very far, but that may change this year because they have a couple of young players back that really helped them make those strides a year ago, and that was it all starts with quarterback Isaiah Hall, who's a 6'2" junior and really mobile quarterback and can make all the throws as well. And then Amarian Mills, another junior, is the bell cow in the backfield for the Patriots. I really see Jeff County making some strides this year and really being able to compete for the region championship. They're in that region with Dobbins, Bennett, and Science Hill, all those teams, and those are 2 tough teams. But I think Jefferson County will really they'll have something to say in that region this year. And our number 4 team, Carter. I mean, going back to that Jamboree game on Thursday night at Central, they just moved the ball up and down the field against Central, and a defense that at times they made stops when they needed to last year, but they would get in some shootouts. They really got some key stops. They only played 1 quarter, but after scoring on the first drive, they go down the field and, Knox Central got a long run, broke off a long run. They forced a fumble at about the 20-yard line. Got it. Guy goes running with it to midfield. Carter goes down the field, and Chandler Wilson throws another touchdown, and they win 14-0. They are also able to really stifle Knox Central on their last drive and didn't allow anything. So that was a great shutout by the defense. So we know their defense has really made strides. Some key players for them is obviously everything starts with their quarterback, Chandler Wilson. He's kind of, if you watch him play, he reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson with the same last name. But he's mobile. They run him sometimes, and it's design runs. He's able to get out of trouble a lot of the time. and a good arm. I mean, may not be the strongest arm of anybody we cover, but he's really, really on point. Brody Blankenship, another 1,000-yard receiver for Carter. He returns this year and is a junior. Got running back Preseason Brown, and also Caleb Harper, who's a senior receiver. He works in the slot. He scored a touchdown in the Jamboree game on Thursday night. So they're really loaded offensively. And on the defensive side of the ball, you're not going to be able to count Carter out either. We were also able to catch up after the game with Coach Justin Presley to talk a little bit about his team's performance on Friday night.
Scoring on both drives is great, and stopping them on both of their drives is also really good. Getting some big turnovers when they got the ball down in their territory was big for our defense. It's good confidence. And then seeing the ball going into the receiver's hands is really good for Chandler and our offense to see. A lot of guys touched the football all over the offensive side of the ball. We had multiple running backs touch the ball, and pretty much was staying positive the entire time. Had one sack that we got to correct with our offensive line, but we feel really good about where we are offensively and what we're able to do. We've transformed our defense this year, and we're being a lot more aggressive. And our kids understand it a lot more this year. So it's simplified and it's a lot more aggressive and more fun to play in. So we're really excited about our defensive side of the ball. And we got guys playing on the defensive side of the ball that hadn't, like Caleb Harper, who's our receiver, will play on defense. Spencer Russell will play at corner. Cash Alton and Jackson Steele, outside linebacker, are 6'3", 200-pound guys. So we feel really good about our starting lineup on both sides of the ball. This is a special group of kids that have been playing together for a really long time. They do a lot of great things. They've done a lot of great things. And having them all back and ready to go is super exciting for us in this community. So we feel real confident in the group we have.
And we've got Sevier County rounding up the top 5. Seeing them play on Friday night at the Sevier County Smoky Mountain Jamboree, they really played well. Won both games in shutout fashion. We had 14-0 in the first game of the night against Gatlinburg-Pittman. 7-0 against Northview. The only thing that kept that one from being 14-0 was Northview had a goal line stand and forced a turnover at the 1 with under a minute left. They weren't able to score, obviously, so Sevier County wins 7-0. Really, like I said earlier, I think Sevier County moved up my rankings a little bit. I didn't really have a finite list. I just had a bunch of teams kind of where I thought they would be. And Sevier County really showed me something on Friday night, especially junior quarterback Christian Hoffman. He started his high school career at TKA and then moved to Gatlinburg-Pittman. And now, as a junior, he's kind of found his groove at Sevier County as the quarterback. Also plays baseball, great baseball player as well. So on the offensive side of the ball, I think the Sevier County, I think you're going to see them run the ball a lot more this year. That's what they saw a lot of Friday night, a lot of, line up, run right at you. On the defensive side of the ball, that shouldn't be a concern at all because you've got Garrett Hawkins is back, and as a junior last year, he set the school record for most tackles in school history, and he's got another year to go. So that's pretty impressive. And here with Coach Todd Loveday on Friday night, he's going to talk a little bit about the Jamboree and talk about what it's like having Hawkins on the defense.
Yeah, we have 8 starters from last year, and not only those guys, a handful of guys that played a lot of reps, and I thought we were very productive last year on, but each year is different. These guys have, some of them are seasoned veterans. Garrett Hawkins and Stephen Kane, this is their 4th year as starters, their linebacker. And Bryce Lane, this will be the 3rd year starting. We got guys up front that are doing a heck of a job. Our defensive coaches do a heck of a job on technique, fundamentals. And this whole team does a good job of just buying in general to what we're trying to accomplish. A lot of selfless kids. This day and age, it's rare, to have an unselfish mentality, and fun to be around. They really buy into. Don't play to the scoreboard. You're guaranteed 40 quarters. When 40 quarters over, we'll see where we stand. We'll go from there. You don't get guys like them often, and when you do get somebody that talented, it's rare. They're such humble leaders like he is. He's great to have around. He's one you have to back off a lot. You never have to push him forward. He's ready to play at any time.
So now for numbers 6 through 10, we've got some schools that we've already talked about tonight. Some great teams. Were there any surprises in numbers 6 through 10?
Any surprises? Probably I'd have to say TKA. TKA, they've lost their starting quarterback for the season, and the way they were able to play with their second string quarterback, who's going to be their quarterback for the rest of the year. Obviously, they're hoping that maybe that there's a competition next year, because that will mean that this guy played well this season. So, I would say TKA moved up my radar a little bit, just because they got a 7-0 win over a Gibbs team that, man, they ran misdirection. Really didn't throw the ball until they were down late in the game, and through an interception, TKA was able to seal the deal. And that's a 3A school, they're playing against, or I take that back, 4A. So Gibbs is 4A, so that's a big test there, and they were able to come out of there with a win. Gatlinburg-Pittman didn't look especially good against Sevier County, but it's hard to fault them for that, because they played against a 5A school. Gatlinburg-Pittman's a small 3A. I think they're going to be just fine. And we'll see them, Friday night, what they can do against the number 10 team, Seymour, who Seymour surprised me as well. I will tell you that. I thought they lost so much from last year's team. Lost the offensive lineman that went to Maryville College. I lost the quarterback. A lot on defense. They don't have much coming back, but they're playing in a 2-quarterback system. And the way they played against Pigeon Forge on Friday night, who's at number 8, I think Seymour was a surprise. So I say the biggest surprises were probably TKA and Seymour.
And then we've got at number 9, Morristown West. Why you got them in the top 10?
Morristown West, they're a playoff team from a year ago, albeit made the first round. 500 team in the regular season, but they're trending the right way. And I do see them making another push for the playoffs this season. But outside of your top 10, one team that kind of could work its way in there is South-Doyle. South-Doyle, they didn't have a good game on Thursday night at the Jamboree. They played Campbell County, lost 14-0. Defense had some lapses. First 2 snaps of the game went over the quarterback's head. Had to change out centers. They, the third one almost went over the quarterback's head, and then they had a penalty on another. So the first drive, everything went awry really quick for South-Doyle. So offensively, they've definitely got some things to shore up, and defensively as well. But, that's another team that, lost a lot. Lost quarterback Nick Martin, running back Sean Gary. Those guys were just really dynamic for their team last year. And new coach coming in. South-Doyle, they're a team from outside of the top 10 that could surprise this year. And another one I'd say that may is Morristown East. I think they've got a shot to. Everybody expected them to beat West last year, but Morristown West won that game, and then the East season just went down from there. They were a 2-8 team a year ago. Yes, so. It's those are 2 teams I would keep my eye on coming in from outside of the top 10.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got a great top 10 this preseason poll this week. Now we've got 3 big games that we kind of want to preview for you. And Brian, we're going to start with Oak Ridge at South-Doyle.
Yeah, this this game was a state semifinal in 2020 as Oak Ridge went on to lose the state championship. South-Doyle, losing Sean Gary, losing their quarterback Nick Martin last season. They were expected to have a bigger year than they did last year, moving down to 4A, but coming down the stretch in the season, lost a few games that they could have won, ended up with the 4 seed, and then they got Greenville, who nobody wanted to face last year in the first round. So there's a lot of unknowns about both of these teams. Oak Ridge loses some players as well off of a team that didn't make the playoffs but was expected to actually compete in 5A. Um, but really with this game, it just is going to come down to execution, something that South-Doyle didn't do very well, especially with the center quarterback exchange, defensively, things like that, and the jamboree on Thursday night. Well, let's go here to Paul Shelton, South-Doyle's coach, to hear a little bit about what he had to say about Thursday night's jamboree game, and then about the upcoming Oak Ridge game.
I think there was a lot of stuff like we just did not play to our standard. Like regardless of the 14-0 type of deal, we're supposed to be a tempo team. Our guys didn't help that we had two snaps or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have bad snaps. So it is what it is. We got to come back. We got to play a little more fundamental football again. It's not about the 14-0. It's about the fact that I just didn't feel like we played to our standard, not the best that we could be. So, we learn from this and move on offensively and defensively. See, we didn't get a great look either at that. You know what I'm saying? So we just didn't get a ton of good reps offensively. So it's not like we got a great evaluation tool. So we got to make the best decision based off of what's going on. We'll, as a coaching staff, we'll get together and make that decision going forward. And hopefully make the best decision for our team. Again, quarterback, I feel great about our quarterbacks. Our quarterbacks are doing a really good job. Coach Morgan's doing a good job with our quarterbacks. There's a lot of other stuff that we got to get cleaned up if we're going to be successful this year.
All right, Brian, we've got a big matchup coming up Thursday night where Jefferson County visits Sevier County.
Yeah, this is a rivalry game. I mean, these two teams, one school in Dandridge, Jefferson County, Sevier County. Obviously, they're in Sevierville. They're neighbors, and they don't like each other very much. Last year at Jeff County dropped this game coming off a disappointing 2020 season, but they've really grown a lot throughout the year in 2021 and got a lot better as they ended up making the playoffs. But this year, I expect a different Jeff County team in that first game than we saw a season ago when Sevier went up there and beat them. It was a close game. It ended a little closer than the score. Score was a little closer than the game, indicated as Jeff County scored, got within one score late, but just wasn't able to pull it out. But let's talk with Coach Todd Loveday here and see what he had to say about Sevier's performance in the Jamboree game and what he thinks about the upcoming Jeff County game this weekend.
Jeff County's definitely one of those teams where to have a chance to win the game, you got to be spent when the game's over. You got to lay everything on the line against those guys. They're always physical. They're always fast. Coach Riley does a great job of preaching the toughness part to them. They're not going to beat themselves. You got to go beat them, and our guys are up for the task. I look for a great four-quarter football game, to be honest with you.
And now we turn to our game of the week this week. It is Seymour hosting Gatlinburg-Pittman.
Yeah, this one should be as good of a game as it was last year. And last season, it was one of the best games that I covered. This was the first game that I covered for Smoky Mountain Sports as it was a Thursday night game at Gatlinburg-Pittman. Gatlinburg-Pittman was expected to win this game. Some thought maybe comfortably because Seymour was coming off an 0-10 season, hadn't won a game since 2019, and ends up being an overtime game. 0-0 for much of the game. Teams go to overtime at 7-7. A missed GP extra point, and Seymour gets their extra point. The kicker's the hero. But what a game. I mean, if we get anything close to the kind of game we got last year, then you guys need to turn up and and turn out for this game on Friday night. Um, let's go now to Coach Brad Waggoner from Gatlinburg, and then Coach Scott Branton from Seymour, and see what they have to say about this rivalry game.
Our defense did a good job the first drive to get up the field. I know offensively we missed some throws, but that's stuff that we can correct going into next week. And obviously, we play Seymour next week right here, so obviously we can't show a whole lot what we're going to do. But I thought our kids, for the first time getting out for the lights, it was good to get in front of play from a big crowd. I think that there was a couple of calls. I mean, they fumbled the ball and they don't continue to drive. So, but it's a scrimmage game, and I thought that from our standpoint, I thought we did a good job of just being in front of the lights. Got some good young guys a chance to play for the first time on Friday nights, and so we got to shore up some things, and obviously next week is real.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very good football team. They returned just about everybody they had from last year's team. They have a very talented junior group. They're very physical up front, and they play very aggressive. And they made a good playoff run last year too. Last year was probably one of the best high school football games you could go to. And anybody that's been around the county knows that Sevier County, in Sevier County, knows that Seymour and GP used to be like one of the biggest rivalries around. So we're really excited that thing's going again, and we're expecting a huge crowd at Seymour this year. And we just hope it's another exciting high school football game.
Well, Brian, we have another exciting new thing that we're going to start putting on our website this week, and we're calling it Friday Night Bites. Tell us a little bit about that and how it ties to our game of the week.
Yeah, this is something I thought up over the summer to add to our website. I'm sure you guys have all watched College Game Day on Saturday mornings and seen Todd's Taste of the Town. This is where Todd Blackledge goes out to some popular restaurants in the community. It's always where the game of the week is. And, that'll be the same with us. We're going to do it every Friday where the game of the week is. And, one of the things that gave me this idea was every time that I'm going on a road trip for a ball game or even locally, I'm always looking at where am I going to eat dinner. So that's something that, is really, really fun for me to do. And I figured it would be something great to add to the website. Well, this week with our inaugural Friday Night Bites, we're going to be at Bullseye Pizza in Seymour. This is a newer place. Went to the ribbon cutting in July. And, it's new, but it's not new because this is owned by Archer's Barbecue, which has been a staple in the Knoxville community for a little while. And if you're driving down Chapman Highway, you'll see the food truck they've had out there. Well, they're working on putting an Archer's Barbecue in the bank there. It's an old bank, and the Bullseye Pizza is in the back. You'll see the sign. You just go down on the back side of the bank where Archer's Barbecue, the food truck, set up. So you've got barbecue in the front, pizza in the back. That's what it's all about, man.
That's Friday Night Bites. It'll be available later this week on our website, SmokyMountainSports.com. That's SmokyMTNSports.com. So we've talked about a number of teams and games that have happened and going on this week, but now we're going to pick 5 games, Brian, for you to actually give us a line and who you think has the advantage in each of these games.
The gist with these is I'm not going to pick a team to win, a score, but I want to pick a spread, not for your gambling purposes, but just how much, I think that team will be favored to win by. If, the underdog wins the game, it's a huge upset. But honestly, you have to keep in mind that I just covered these games. I'm not Vegas, so, this is just how much I would expect the score to be, and if that team covers or it doesn't cover. Really, this first one's the toughest one, Maryville and Heritage, because you saw the score last year. We talked about it earlier. This is a game that kind of has some intrigue because Maryville's introducing a new quarterback into their system, and Heritage has a new head coach. So, Heritage was 0-10 a year ago, and obviously they're trying to get their football program on the right track. But Maryville, as dominant as they've been, this is a tough first game here for a head coach. So I'm going to say Maryville minus 35. I'm giving them 5 touchdowns. I hope I'm
All
wrong on that one. I hope it's a good game, but most people see the around here run into the buzzsaw that's Maryville. They don't lose a lot unless it's Oakland.
right.
So or
And in the
Alcoa
semis.
or Alcoa occasionally, but like we said, it's been 4 years or so since they beat them. But yeah, I'll take Maryville minus 35.
All right. Well, now we'll talk about Jefferson County at Sevier County.
Yeah, this will be a good one. Jefferson County at Sevier County. I It's almost a toss up because last year it was a close game. Sevier got out to um, a touchdown or so lead. I think we were up to a 2 touchdown lead at one point, but Jefferson County comes back. It's a 1 possession game at the end. Um, this year, honestly, in Sevier, I expect Jefferson County to win this game. So I think it's going to be close. This is a Thursday night rivals game. It's going to be televised. So if any of you guys get an opportunity, tune in and watch this game on Thursday night because it should be a good one. And I could be wrong, but it should be a really good game. There's a reason that Rivals is going down there to cover that game. Um, I'm going to take Sevier +3. So I think it'll be a 1 possession game. But I expect Jefferson County to win. Now, Sevier's got a tough first 2 games with it, like we said earlier, Jeff County and Carter. So, you get past those 2 and, see what happens there. But I'm taking Jefferson County.
All right. And then we've got Oak Ridge at South-Doyle.
Like we said earlier, both these teams are, traditional powers. They're just 2 years removed from playing in the state semis in 5A. Now Oak Ridge is 5A, South-Doyle is 4A. I said South-Doyle lost a lot of offensive firepower, and Oak Ridge, they had a bad year a season ago, but I would expect they would be back in the playoffs this year. I'm honestly going to take South-Doyle +8.5 this game. I expect Oak Ridge to come and get revenge from last year's loss to South-Doyle at their house. And I expect them to come away with a little over a touchdown win.
And on Friday night, Seymour is hosting Gatlinburg-Pittman.
Gatlinburg-Pittman, that's going to be a good one. We talked about this game. We heard what Coach Branton and Coach Waggoner had to say. This is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a lot like last year. But this year, I know Gatlinburg-Pittman, they were supposed to win that game last year. Seymour came into their house coming off an 0-10 season and beat them. So this game is at Seymour this year, but it's our game of the week. But I'm taking GP. It's going to be Seymour +2.5. I think it's going to come down to a field goal or could be another 1-point game. Both teams look good, in the off season, and Seymour really surprised me on Friday night with their play.
And then we've got our Saturday night special. That's Morristown West at Morristown East.
Morristown West at Morristown East. There was a big fight in this game towards the end last year, and I didn't see it. Remember, we weren't covering them yet. We picked that up around baseball season as we added some new schools. But I was not at this game. Did not see that. We hope there's no more fights this year. Can't comment on that because I don't know what happened. But this is the Saturday night game because there's going to be no college yet. Morristown West, like I said, playoff team a year ago. Morristown East coming off a disappointing season, and this is a game that's at East. I think the home field advantage is going to help East, and I'm taking them -3. It'll be a 3-point win for Morristown East.
All right. So, any closing thoughts before we leave it?
I'm just excited that football's back.
I know,
It's
aren't
been
we
a
all,
long
though?
summer. It's been a long summer. I'm happy high school sports is back. It's been a long summer since that Murfreesboro trip when the last day that I was there, got to see Alcoa girls win state in softball, their first ever state championship. Actually, the first time they had ever won a game at state. And then the Pigeon Forge disappointment earlier that day that they finished runner-up in baseball for the second year in a row. Were probably favored to win that game. They were number 1 in 2A all year, and except for the final rankings, lost to Watertown. So it seems so far in the rear view, but it seems like it was yesterday. So where did the summer go? But I'm happy we're back with fall sports. What about you?
Yeah, it was definitely a busy spring, and then it seemed like it all ended abruptly, and then it was just dead for a while. But yeah, it's definitely exciting to get back into the fall sports and get to covering some great high school football again. And actually, speaking of that, if you guys want to text updates and finals from any sports that happen in the fall, you can text Smoky Mountain Sports at 865-268-9088. That's 865-268-9088. And give us all of those details. Help us keep the website updated, and in turn, keep all of our fans of high school sports updated all season long. And then also, we want to ask that if you guys will support us, help us keep covering these sports, you can check out Patreon. We are members there, patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. That's patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. And you can become a member and get some exclusive highlights and exclusive stories for just our members. Brian, it's been a great first podcast, and we appreciate all your input and knowledge of sports coverage there, and look forward to a great and exciting week and season of high school sports.